Get y'all situated. My shelves are an absolute wreck right now. I probably sound a little bit weird. I am currently sick. I've been sick for like 5 days and I'm so over it. Like, it is so irritating. Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am filming my March TBR video. Super excited to see what I'm going to be reading for March. If you guys don't already know, you guys control what I pick every single month. You guys actually are the ones picking. I have you guys pick a series of numbers that will tell me which bookcase, then which shelf, and then which book on that shelf I will be adding to my TBR. Obviously, if it's a book I've already read, I'm not adding it to the TBR. And we made a couple of rules to where if it lands on a book in the middle of a series, then I have to read whatever book I'm on in that series. I have lots and lots of entries from you guys. If you guys are wanting to participate in the following months, I highly recommend following me on Bookstagram. I am pretty active on there. I've currently been in a kind of creative slump on Instagram, so I don't have many like feed posts, but I am on stories a lot and pretty active as far as that goes. And that's where I ask for help for videos and numbers for the TBR and all that kind of stuff. So you guys have a big influence on what happens on my channel through my Instagram page. So make sure to go follow that. Also, just disregard if you hear my dog running around. I can't leave her outside of the room or she will pee on my floor because she has separation anxiety, so she has to be with me. I think we're gonna pick around 8 to 10 books for the TBR. She has an itch. Okay, you're caught in a thread. Please don't whine at the door. Just hang out with me, Charlie. Let's get to our first set of numbers. Actually, hold on. I should mention I'm putting 8 to 10 books on my TBR because that's typically what I can read in a month. However, last month I think I probably only read like 3 books. Last month was not my month. Anyways, with all of that nonsense being said, let's get to the number. So the first set of numbers that I have is 1, 4, and 17. So bookcase 1, shelf number 4, book number 17. Also, we're just going to accept the fact that my shelves are going to be a wreck after this video. The first book that we have on the TBR is What Comes After by Joanne Tompkins. I've actually had this book on my shelf for so long and I don't even know what it's about, so let's see. Sometimes the only way forward is together. After the shocking deaths of 2 teenage boys tear apart a community in the Pacific Northwest, an unfamiliar pregnant girl emerges out of the woods and into the lives of these same boys' family. Why the boys died and what their tragedy has to do with this girl are the propulsive mysteries at the center of Joanne Tompkins' story. But just as urgent is the question of how the families will move forward. What comes after grief? What does forgiveness look like? In misty coastal Washington, Isaac's teenage son Daniel is gone, leaving Isaac alone in a rambling Victorian home, shocked and grieving. The friendships and faith that once nurtured him are flickering. Next door, Lori, a working single mother, struggles with the final act committed by her own teenage son. The two parents are separated by only a silvery stretch of trees, but emotionally they are stranded, isolated by their greatest loss, until they meet Evangeline. Fiery in hair and in spirit, 16, pregnant, and alone, Evangeline's unexplained arrival changes everything. At first, it feels like a blessing and a bridge across the divide, but the girl clearly is hiding something about her connection to the boys and their deaths. Soon, all 3 characters are forced to examine what really happened in their overlapping pasts and what it all possibly means for a shared future. Actually sounds really interesting. I don't know why I haven't ever picked this one up off my shelf. I think it's because like nothing really draws me to it, but this definitely does sound really interesting and seems like something that could be really entertaining. So book 1 being added. Also, I don't typically read the synopsis for books that I add to my TBR in these videos, but I feel like I'm gonna do it this time because I don't know, I just feel like it. Okay, so our next number entry is 1, 4, 16. Okay, so the next book that I picked up is The Hacienda by Isabel Caña. So this one I'm pretty sure is a Mexican Gothic means Rebecca in the debut supernatural suspense novel set in the aftermath of the Mexican War of Independence about a remote house, a sinister haunting, and the woman pulled into their clutches. Yes, okay. So this one I actually got last year for October month, but never actually got around to it. I don't even think I attempted to start this one, but I do think this would be something that would be really interesting. My only fear is that the timeline and the setting might bore me. I'm not really like a history person, and the fact that it takes place after the Mexican War of Independence, like I just feel like I might not be super engaged with it, so I'm definitely intimidated in that sense, but I think it could also be a really surprising read. So overall, I'm okay with this pick. Next set of numbers is 226. Technically, I have already read this one, but it was years and years and years ago, and I have been meaning to pick up this series again. But I feel like I need to reread the first book in order to do that. But that book is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I know that this one is like really hit or miss in the book community. I know there's a lot of people that hate it, and there also are a lot of people that love it. I don't remember anything about this book, like not even a single thing. I remember enjoying it, but not being really blown away by it. But it says Jude was 7 when her parents were murdered, and she and her 2 sisters were stolen away to live in the treacherous High Court of Fairy. 10 years later, Jude wants nothing more than to belong there, but many of the Fae despise humans, especially Prince Cardan, the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. To win a place in the court, Jade must defy him and face the consequences. You know, a YA fantasy could be really fun for the month, and I would love to read this entire series for a video. So, you know, I'm okay with it. I'm alright. So the next set of numbers that I have is 317. I have already read that one. 1 to 19. I have already read that one. 2 to 8. I haven't read this one. However, I don't know. I don't think I have to read this in a certain order. So I think this one is good. But we landed on Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. I don't know anything about this book, so let's find out together. At 22 years old, Sydney is enjoying a great life. She's in college, working a city job, in love with her wonderful boyfriend Hunter, and rooming with her best friend Tori. But everything changes when she discovers that Hunter is cheating on her, and she's forced to decide what her next move should be. Soon, Sydney finds herself captivated by her mysterious and attractive neighbor, Ridge. She can't take her eyes off him or stop listening to the passionate way he plays his guitar every evening out on his balcony. And there's something about Sydney that Ridge can't ignore either. They soon find themselves needing each other in more ways than one. Honestly, to me it sounds pretty basic, but you never know. I feel like Colleen Hoover's books, like, I feel like even if they are like typical stories, she does a really great job of the way that she writes it to like really keep you intrigued and interested in the story. That's just what I've experienced through reading her book, so I'm excited to see what my thoughts are in this. So, book number 4. What was that one? No, Charlie. No. That was 2 to 8, so 3, 4, 11. I've already read that. There we go. Charlie, stop. I'm gonna move these because I don't want you licking or chewing my books. Appreciate it. 1, 4, 4. So that was a Harry Potter book, but I've read the entire series, so not that one. 3 to 11. Yes, yes, absolutely. I literally said right before I turned the camera on, I hope that book gets picked. And it got picked. Starsight, Brandon Sanderson. So I read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. One of my favorite books. Loved that book to pieces. I'm not a sci-fi reader, like at all, but I loved that book. And I did start this one for a readathon. I got to page 67. I was tabbing real good, okay? And I was loving this book, but the readathon ended and I obviously didn't have time. Like, there wasn't enough time for me to finish the book, and I had other books to get to, so I ended up having to just put this one down, which was so sad for me, but I'm so excited to get back to this book. Like, I have been dying to read this one, so I'm very satisfied. 2, 11, so 2, 1, 13. So I have started this one before. One of my dear friends loves this series, and she's like dying for me to read it, and I did start it at one point. I can't even tell you which page or anything that I got to, but I do remember really loving the writing style, and that is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Deep in the heart of Oxford's Bodleian, I don't know that word, library, Diana Bishop, a young scholar and the descendant of witches, unearths an enchanted alchemical manuscript. These are really big words for me. Wanting nothing to do with sorcery, she banishes the book to the stacks, but her discovery has set a fantastical underworld stirring, and soon a horde of demons, witches, and other creatures descends upon the library. Why am I struggling so bad? Maybe this book won't go very well. Among them is a guy named Matthew Claremont, a vampire with a keen interest in the book, equal parts history and magic, romance, and suspense. A Discovery of Witches is a mesmerizing and addictive tale of passion and obsession that reveals the closely guarded secrets of an enchanted world. That was so hard for me, but I am excited about this one. I have the trilogy on my shelf, but apparently there's a 4th book that my friend was telling me about, so I am excited to get to this one. I am just definitely intimidated because, again, it's one of those books with like the history thing, you know? Like, I'm not a history girl. I'm just not. It tends to bore me, so I'm definitely scared of this one, but nonetheless, we're adding it to the pile. That was 2, 1, 13, so 3, 1, 15. Already read that and I hated it. Take a guess what book it was. Take a guess. I'm not gonna tell you, but take a guess. 2, 3, 18. That's a book, and it's the second one in a series, but I DNF'd the first book, so I'm not gonna pick that up. Okay, so 1, 2, 5. That is just a special edition of a book that I've already read. 2, 4, 8. Ooh. Okay, I haven't read this one, okay? And that is A Sign of Affection Volume 3. So this is a manga series that I adore, okay? It has sign language rep, like deaf community rep, but it's Japanese sign language. I used to be an interpreter, and I learned a little bit of sign language growing up, and then I took classes of it in high school. And really love it. I just think it's such a beautiful language, and I have a heart for the deaf community. This is basically like a little romance story about a girl. I think the girl is deaf and she's trying to teach this boy sign language. Pretty sure. I don't really remember. It was a long time ago that I read the first 2 volumes, but I like that there's a manga on here because this, I can achieve this easily. I got this, okay? But those thick books, you know, we might struggle a little bit. So 3, 1, 17. Why do I feel like we got one like that? Already read it. 1, 1, 11. That is a Christmas book, and I'm not reading it. 2, 2, 10. I've already read that one, but I really love that you guys are choosing a lot of 2, 2 because I'm really in the mood for some romance, and this is where a lot of my romance lies. 3, 2, 16. Already read it. 3, 2, 1. A lot of you guys like to do these 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1 things. I'm on to you. But I've already read that one. 1, 2, 10. This one was on the TBR last month, and I did not achieve it. So it's going back on, and that is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. This is basically about a girl. She basically has like 9 lives, and she like turns into a fox, but her kind, I guess, like her purpose in life is to basically, like, she's supposed to kill people or something like that, or like certain types of people or something, and then she obviously falls in love with this boy and like can't go through with her mission or whatever. But it sounds really interesting. I've been wanting to read it for years, and this is one of those books where like if I don't read it this year, I have to get rid of it, so I need to just like suck it up and do it, you know? So 1, 3, 17. And already read it. 2, 1, 17. Haven't read this one. Have been wanting to read this one. So this works out perfectly. But that is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I did start this one at one point. I don't even know. Oh, I got to page 99, but I obviously didn't end up finishing it. I think I was reading it for a specific video and just didn't get there. But anyways, I am really excited to read this one. It says on September 5th, a little after midnight, Death Cast calls Mateo Torres and Rufus Emeterio to deliver some bad news. They're going to die in less than 24 hours. Mateo and Rufus are total strangers, but for different reasons. They're both looking to make a new friend on their end day. The good news is there's an app for that. It's called Last Friend, and through it, Rufus and Mateo meet up for one final epic adventure to live a lifetime in a single day. So, sounds really interesting. I do like the concept of this, like the whole death cast thing, like basically like people decide like when it's your last day. And so I think it's really interesting, and I know that there is another one. I can't even remember the name, but I've seen a lot. So I know there's another book, but yeah, I'm not mad about this one. So I'm gonna just stack it right over here. 3, 2, 6. Already read it. Okay, I'm gonna look for some more 2 2s because I really want another romance book on here, and it's my game, so I'm allowed to do it. We have 2 2 18. Already read that. 2 3 16. So we landed on the air in the selection series, and I still need to finish the first one. I did start this one last month, but I didn't finish it. I got to page 201, and I actually was really enjoying this. It's like a very quick read. I mean, so insanely quick. And I really want to do a video where I read this entire series in 24 hours. I just keep not having 24 hours to do it. But I'm going to add this one back to the TBR. That way that video is an option for me this month. This is basically about this like kingdom, I guess, and whenever it's time for like the upcoming king to get married, they have this selection process, and basically all of these, they're different social classes, but all these girls put in these applications to be possibly picked to become queen, and they only pick, I think, like 32 girls from different social classes. The king basically is dating all 32 of them and basically gets down to one. It's kind of like The Bachelor, but like royalty version. So it's kind of fun. Yeah, I didn't really have any complaints about it. I just need to finish it, to be honest. So add that one to the TBR, and that will complete our TBR. Let me try to pick up this stack. These are all the books on the TBR. That's a lot of them. I'm really thankful for some manga. But yeah, so those are all the books that we ended up with on my TBR. Thank you guys so much for playing, for participating, for picking some great books, and also picking some books that are out of my comfort zone. I'm really excited to see how I feel about them all. So yes, I'm pretty excited about the month of March. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.